Thank you again to Southeast Community Capital, for being such a fabulous proponent of small business in Kingsport. We really appreciate you all and appreciate you being tonight's sponsor, our title sponsor. I've got a lot to do tonight, so I'm going to be going through this quick. We apologize for getting started a little bit late. We wanted to make sure we had all of our technical stuff going. But thank you for coming tonight. What an incredible crowd and turnout. We are so pleased to have this many people here this evening celebrating the accomplishments of small business in Kingsport. Right off the bat, I want to recognize last year's winners. We've got some businesses here with us this evening that participated in the Kosbe Awards last year. We want to recognize them. They may not all be here, but if you're here, if you'll please stand, and if you all will hold your applause to the end, because we certainly want to celebrate these businesses and their continued success. Our Impact Award winner last year was Charlie Dotson with TCI Group. I don't believe Charlie's with us this evening. Our Young Entrepreneur Award went to Wes Leonard of Elixir Media Group, who is kindly videotaping this event this evening. I think that'll be broadcast on Channel 16, is that right, Wes? So we very much appreciate him being here this evening. Our new business winner last year was Cafe New Orleans. I believe they're with us this evening. We had 3 Business Excellence Awards last year, Lake Point Advertising and Awards, Interim Healthcare of East Tennessee, and Flowers by Copper Creek. And I know they are here this evening, and they kindly decorated our event this evening and did an amazing job. So we greatly appreciate you, Charles and Ethel Lee, for doing such a wonderful job and making us look so good. So if y'all give all those businesses a big round of applause, thank you. Next, I want to recognize some of the people who've been heavily involved, not only in this event, but also involved in Kosbe year-round. First of all, the Kosbe staff, Andrea Wilcox, who's right up here at the front. Good pop. I didn't realize that. She's the executive director of Kosbe, and also Vanessa Bennett, Kosbe's marketing and administrative assistant. Has worked tirelessly to help us pull off this event. So thank you, Vanessa, because we would not be enjoying all this if it weren't for you. Thank you very much. Now I want to introduce the 2009 Kosbe Council Chairs. Ken Froelich of GTS Refreshments in Pristine Springs served as our chair this year. Ken, if you'll wave to the crowd. And sitting next to him is Russ Adkins of Wilson Worley Moore Gamble Stout PC, who also happens to be, they're both sponsors of this evening's event as well. Our other council members are on the screen, and they're listed in your program as well as this year's Kosbe's peer counselors. And those individuals work directly counseling and mentoring small businesses in the community. Okay, more introductions. Take a big breath. This year's award judges, this is a tough job. I've had the opportunity to participate in the judging process last year, and this year more as a mediator of our judges, but it is very hard, but also fun and exciting to sit back and hear these small businesses tell their stories. So really appreciate these individuals for stepping up and helping out. Tyler Clinch with First Community Bank. Carolyn Pearson-Cook with Absolute Communications. And again, our Kosbe Chair, Ken Froelich, GTS Refreshments in Pristine Springs. David Tiller, who's with the U.S. Small Business Administration. Thank you, David. And then we also had 2 other additional out-of-town judges this year who were kind enough to participate and help us, and they're going to have a few words for us this evening. So first, I'm going to introduce Keith Joy with Oak Ridge National Laboratory, and following Keith, Ronald Wade with the State of Tennessee Barrow Office will be speaking. So Keith and Ronald.
Thank you. I am Keith Joy, and I am the Director of Small Business Programs at the Oak Ridge National Laboratory. I first want to thank Andrea and Kosbe for giving me the honor to serve as a judge. I also like to congratulate all of the award winners here. I travel all around the country tirelessly looking for small businesses to compete for our subcontracts at Oak Ridge National Laboratory. And after I looked at all of the nomination packages, I can say that I was quite impressed with the quality, the growth, and the enthusiasm of all of the small business winners today. So congratulations. And I would like to say I was quite impressed with your community involvement, your community volunteerism, giving back to the community. And I think that's very important, and you should all be proud of that, and keep up the good work. Ronnie?
Good evening. I'm Ronnie Wade, the State of Tennessee Bureau Office, and we handle all small business needs. I also have my boss here tonight, Kathy Testament, who has located to Kingsport, and she's now housed in the Kingsport Chamber. Kathy is the director for she's our job specialist director. She handles all new businesses that are interested in moving into the state of Tennessee. So you're fortunate to have her here in the midst of everything that's going on. I think Keith was a little mild with his introduction. Keith Joy, ladies and gentlemen, is actually the director of Oak Ridge National Laboratory, one of 9 worldwide. He is over the small business section. Year before last, they won the Distinguished Award of doing the Eisenhower Award, that is for doing business with small businesses, and the Francis Perkins Award, which is awarded to those that do business with women-owned businesses. This means all over the United States, all companies combined. We're fortunate to have him to extend his area and come to Kingsport. This is your second or third visit here. And normally you have to go behind the fence and get frisked and, and everything else just to see Keith. But so we're really fortunate to have him here, ladies and gentlemen. And he is so right. This was probably, and I judge a lot of small businesses, and of course I see at least 30 to 40 a week. And this was probably the hardest judging I guess I've ever seen. I know some of the clients because they're clients of Kosbe, and this was very hard. It was harder than I anticipated because I don't think we had any losers. I think everyone on that list is a winner because they're all hard-working companies, and any one of those companies could have been picking up this plaque. And that's the honest to goodness truth. So you have a lot of good small businesses, and if you understand what's going on, small businesses run this country. They employ the bulk of the employees, and they're the engine underneath all large businesses. So if you're cultivating that, that's making Kathy's job a lot easier, because when she brings prospects in, it's really nice to know that you have a community that does things like this. Kosbe stands out as probably one of my better chambers because Miles, your chamber president, has made a commitment to small businesses, and that's something that most don't do. And it must be a good impact on the mayor as well because he is endorsing those programs. Once again, we didn't have any losers. We all had winners here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much to all of our out-of-town judges who were willing to give their time and effort and insights this year into helping us make these really difficult decisions. Now I would like to introduce our keynote speaker sponsor this evening, Citizens Bank. And at this time, I want to welcome Bill Dudney.
Feels like old times, Angie.
Yes, it does.
We spent a few years together. When they asked me to introduce the speaker tonight, I thought, wow, what a treat. Get to introduce a guy that I've known most of my life, that I was a high school classmate of, and he is a Kingsport product. Mike Strickland went to Robinson Junior High at the time, and Dobbin's been in high school class of 1973. I think we got a couple other guys. Steve Harville's here tonight. Jeff Bedford is here somewhere. I don't know where Jeff wound up. a couple of his DB fellow graduates. But along the way in high school, Mike played a little football, a little basketball, but he was also involved in junior achievement, which I think showed those early budding skills for business. In fact, he was twice president of his junior achievement company, and he's an Eagle Scout. I think that says a lot about a person. Mike went on from DB to the University of Tennessee. In fact, Jeff and Steve and Mike and I were all there at the same time. He got a BS in business from UT, but along the way he decided he thought he'd go to law school too. Now the amazing thing is while Mike was doing all these things in education, he'd been running a business. Because he started it when he was 12 years old. He started Bandit Lights when he was a kid. And along the way, while he was doing his education, he never lost sight of his dream. And Bandit Lights has gone on to become a highly successful global company with offices not only in the United States, but also in London, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. They have over 300 full-time employees, 200 part-time employees. Mike has worked with some of the great musical artists of our time, from Garth Brooks to Jimmy Buffett to ZZ Top, and some that I've never heard of that I heard you talking about earlier tonight. But I'm an old guy. I'm older than Mike. He has received numerous awards and recognition. In fact, he was named Entrepreneur of the Year in 1999 by CNN USA Today. Now, one thing Mike learned back in his junior achievement days is to learn, earn, and return. And he has done that in a wonderful way. His civic and community involvement literally runs the alphabet. When I was looking at his bio, he's done everything from the American Heart Association to the YMCA and everything in between. I don't think there's an organization in the Knoxville, Knox County area that Mike or Bandit Lights has not touched in some positive way. Now I can tell you his real love, and particularly right now, is the University of Tennessee. And he continues to serve his alma mater in a number of ways. He is a chancellor's advisor, and he's on the development council. He's also the chair of the fundraising for the College of Business. So grab your wallet. Before you get out tonight, he'll probably want to talk to you. He also continues to serve on numerous civic and community boards, and he presently serves as chairman of the Knox County Chamber of Commerce. Now, I don't know how he finds time to do all this. As a past president of the Kingsport Chamber, I can't imagine how big that job is in Knoxville. On a personal note, Mike and his wife Nicole have 2 sons, Chase and Cole, 10 and 8. Is that right, Mike? You can imagine what that's like. He's a coach and a father. And I'm quite confident that Mike is going to be just as successful and has been just as successful as a father as he has been in business. Now, Mike, before you come up and make your remarks, there's something we need to take care of first. I'd like to call on the mayor of Kingsport, Dennis Phillips, and Ken Froelich, the chair of Kosbe, to come up for special recognition. Mike, come on up. You got to talk, Mayor.
I thought we were getting a special recognition. Michael, if you would come on up and stand between or beside us, we're going to do something that we wouldn't dare done when you were a 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old at Dobbins Bennett. We're going to give you a key to the city. And thank you for what, you still represent Kingsport, and knowing people about like Bill Dudley makes me proud, because Bill has always been I was in banking for a few years, and Bill is an outstanding banker in this community, and maybe he doesn't make the money today because that you do, but banking he did at one time until banking went south. But thank you for coming to Kingsport, and Ken.
No, you go ahead. Thank you, sir. My pleasure.
Before you leave, Andrea wants you to say that the most important part of the program is the back page. So if you would all look at the back page before you leave. And Michael, seriously, thank you for coming to Kingsport.
Thank you, sir.
Being here. I'm going to apologize. I have to go to the Home Builders Association at 6:30 and install the officers. And,
I understand.
You can tell I get to eat a lot. But thank you for coming to Kingsport. And please come back.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you all. I'm honored and indeed flattered to have been asked to speak to this esteemed group. Thank you very much for the awards. I have one comment on the key to the city. In 1968 through 73, when I was building the business, I didn't need the key to the city because they never locked any of the schools or churches. And I'll explain that later. Again, I'm very honored to speak. I think what I'm going to do is start at the end of the story, because I always get asked a lot of questions about how we did what we did and what the story is. And I'm going to show a 5-minute tape. I didn't make it. I searched through all of the things that I had to show, but I felt it important that you get some of the visuals about who we are and what we've done through the years. So you're going to basically see something that takes you right to the end of the story, and then I'm going to go back and give you for 10 minutes the beginning of the story in Kingsport. So with that, we'll roll tape if we can, please.
Michael's a visionary. He's a doer as well as a visionary. He sees it and then he goes and does it. His reputation is impeccable for integrity and for reliability, and I think that's obviously the foundation of his success so far.
The thing about Michael is he'll reach a goal and then he'll create another one, and it all makes sense in the long scheme of things.
For somebody to have a dream and a vision when they're 12 or 13 years old, to the point of going and basically borrowing some lights and lighting an act and having that dream to where he could take it today to be one of the largest lighting companies and best lighting companies in the world, you got to be smart to do that.
Michael has a term called humanomics, which is about people and how you treat people. And the thing about this company is, and about Michael, is he's really serious about the people that we bring on and how we treat them and how far they go and what kind of education we can give them and just the whole experience.
He's doing exactly what most successful people do. It's pretty simple, and what I've learned is that he does it right, he does it reliably, and he makes money doing it, and he gets good people around him and leads them, and he's a winner. He's a Hall of Famer.
If you ask Mike what he's most proud of today, and I think it's different than it was maybe 10 years ago, but I think he would say it's his family. Nicole, Chase, and little Cole are really very, very important to him. And
you know, the fact of the matter is he's a great father. It really was surprising to see how good of a dad he really is.
I mean, he travels and he tries to come back that day. He's very, very good about being with these kids. On the weekends, we try to make family activities.
us, all the people happy means we want everyone to be happy, our clients, our customers, and the public that we come into contact with. And then every light works, we want all the equipment to work. So if we can succeed at making everybody happy and all the equipment working, then we've succeeded at being Bandit Lights. Every day when I come into work, it's not the same thing every day. I get a new set of challenges to deal with, and we call them situations. We get a new situation presented, and every situation is an opportunity. You can make of it whatever you want to make of it.
Michael, I just wanted to say that I'm as proud of you as if you were my own boy.
Good job, Dad. Good job, Dad.
Congratulations, Michael. You definitely deserve this award and any other awards anybody wants to give you.
And I just want to say how much I appreciate and say thank you for making me feel like I'm a little part of that Bandit family. I really appreciate it.
Michael, thank you and all your staff for over 20 years of an incredible run out here on the road. And for all you businessmen and women in Knoxville, just to know this guy's cool. And if you need to get lit up, Michael Strickland is the guy. Congratulations, Michael.
Hey everybody, this is Garth Brooks. And to the city of Knoxville, I want you to know that you have so many ways that you're represented so well in movies, in athletics, in music. I want you to know Michael Strickland has been aces for us. All around the world, Central Park, Dublin, Germany. Let's talk about South America. Let's talk about Australia. This guy has represented us. He is our look. He's the whole G like gig. I mean, so I can't say enough about Strickland, and he's the most proud of where he's from. He wears the orange and white everywhere he goes. So, you talk about your homeboy, Mike Strickland. If you're seeing this, brother, I love you. I can't thank you enough. And any gig I have in the future is always yours first. And you've always taken me above and beyond what you promised me you would. Take care of you guys tonight. And congratulations to both of you, because the city of Knoxville and Michael Strickland are getting a good deal together.
Hi, this is Barry Switzer, the grumpy old coach from Norman, Oklahoma, wanting to congratulate your friend and my friend, Michael Strickland, into the Knoxville Business Hall of Fame. Speaking with Michael, he told me that he was very excited about being a part of this induction into the Knoxville Business Leaders prestigious group. I know that there's one other hall out there he'd like to very much be a part of. To give it up, Michael, it'll never happen. That's the National Collegiate Football Hall of Fame. Michael, I hope you're wearing a tie today. Go Vols!
Now everything that I have to say makes sense. That's sort of where it all ended up. And again, people ask, how did you get there? Because we've achieved some pretty incredible things for a bunch of people from Kingsport, Tennessee. While that tape made allusion to Knoxville, that's where I live. People often ask, why didn't I come home? And I'll get that out of the way right off. I started Bandit Lights here at Ross N. Robinson, went to UT, and when I got out of law school at the University of Tennessee, I had about 15 employees, and they all lived in Knoxville. I had every intention of returning here, and indeed I'm absolutely jealous of all of you that do live here, because I like this kind of a lifestyle. Knoxville's a great lifestyle, but this is a little bit better because it's not quite as hectic as Knoxville, and had I been able to move back here, I absolutely would have. Miles Burdine's trying to recruit me back here for how many years now, 10? And if I could move, I would, but we've got so many employees now that we can't move the company. But that's why I never came home. But getting back to how we did it, it started with those guys in that picture. It started when they built Dobyns-Bennett Dome. I went to the Dome with my sister, who John Campbell knows well. They graduated together. And we saw the Beach Boys, or I don't remember who we saw because I had no thought that this would be a career. And when I left there, I was 12 years old. I'd already been kicked out of the boys' choir because I can't sing, I can't dance, I can't play piano. I have no musical talent, but I love music. So I saw this rock show. Well, I had been in community theater as a kid. Do they still have the Theater Guild here? Do they still every year award the Johnson Hilliard Cup to the best actor? There's a big cup somewhere that every year at the end of the season they pick the best actor for the whole year. I won it when I was 5. That cup is here somewhere. I was in a play called Speaking of Murder. I played Ricky, and I won it to the chagrin of all the adults in the theater community that year. Somewhere there's this big giant cup that's got hundreds, well not hundreds, but lots of names on it. So I knew that theatrical lighting existed. So I went to this rock show and said, I've got to do that. I have no talent. How can I do it? Well, I can take some theatrical lights and put them down in the gymnasium and light a rock show. So I went to the guy, his name was Ira Von Draug, D-R-A-U-G-H, and he was from Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I said, what's your next show? And he goes, well, it's next month. And I don't remember who it was. And I said, would you like some lights? And I had to explain it to him, put some theatrical lights up. He said, okay. So the next month came around, and I got Kevin Carson and Jim Harmon, I believe. And we got some spotlights from the little theater and some other lights from the theater and some overhead projectors from the AV department. And we went down and we clamped them on the handrails, and the monkeys or whoever it was came in at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And back then there weren't levels of security. If you wanted to meet the band, be there at 3:30 in the afternoon. And they came in and set their own gear up. They had a road manager and that was it. He mixed the sound and got the money. So we were there, we met the band, we put the lights up, and I don't know if any of you were at that show, but this was the first time that theatrical lighting had been used for a rock show in Kingsport. When it was time for the show to start, I looked over, does anybody remember Bad Eye, the janitor? Oh, yeah. I looked over at Bad Eye and waved, and Bad Eye went over and turned off the house lights. Well, pandemonium broke out because everybody was sitting there and they'd never been in the gym with the lights out. They thought something was wrong. So we had to go turn the lights back on, and actually Dick Winstead had to go up on stage, he was the DJ from WKIN, and explain that we were going to have lighting. So everybody came back and sat down. And for those of you that remember that, everybody came to a concert back then in a suit and tie, and you had on a boutonniere and your girlfriend had a corsage. It was a very different time. But that was the model. So we got everybody sitting back down, we had a rock show. And what I never imagined was that whoever it was asked us if we could go the next day to Asheville, North Carolina. Well, hell, I was 12. Kevin was 12 and Jim was 12. But real early I learned the first rule of show business, lie. And I was a big 12, I was 6'2". And I said, no, we're booked tomorrow. Well, that worked. So they went for it. I couldn't tell them I was actually a kid with no lights. So the next month we had another rock show. Well, the next month we had a guy named Terry Wallace. I don't know if anybody knew the Wallaces. There was a Kathy Wallace and Terry, and Terry had gotten out of high school and had a driver's license in a car. So we had a Camaro and a U-Haul trailer, and we were ready to go. And sure enough, they asked the question, and I don't remember where we went, but we went somewhere. Well, that was Sunday. Well, I never imagined on a Sunday night you'd hear that question again. And obviously we couldn't go because it was Sunday night and I had to go to school Monday morning. So by the third time we executed it, we had enough people that weren't in school that if they kept asking the question, we could keep going. And we eventually figured out that that's how the model would work. Now people say, was it hard to start a company? I wish I could tell you that it was, but number one, it wasn't a company. You know why we did it? To get into rock shows free and to meet girls. I got into a lot of free rock shows. Not a lot of girls wanted to know me back then. So that part didn't actually work out well, but the free rock show part did. So that's the only reason we were doing it. Now, the reason it was easy was, at that point in time, there was no such thing as stage lighting for rock shows. While I was doing it here, Bob C. was doing it in the Northeast, and Bob Stern was doing it in the Northwest, and there's a company in Chicago doing it, and a company, people were starting to do it. The big difference was I was 12 and they were 25. They actually had money and loans and equipment and trucks, and we were just a bunch of kids. So we continued to do it all through high school. We started doing Kingsport, Bristol, Johnson City. You know, we got sort of a 100-mile radius, and we were just doing it for fun, and we charged like $25. And we used the $25 to our parents' chagrin, and they didn't know it, God rest all their souls, to buy beer. I started drinking at a very early age, sadly. But the good news about drinking at an early age is, and this is the God's honest truth, I started drinking at 11. Truthfully. I'm not proud of it, but there's a happy ending to it. By the time that we were juniors in high school at Dobbins Bennett, and for those of you that went with me, I was over the drinking. All the guys that are here tonight were just discovering the drinking, and it was a big deal to them. The guys in that picture had been there and done that. And in all honesty, most of the people started drinking sort of in 11th grade, and how were they doing it? Well, they were drinking and driving because they were old enough. I was drinking at 11, 12, and 13, I couldn't drink and drive. So by the time I got old enough to drive, drinking was just, I was beyond it. Now we still drank, but we'd gotten over the experimental phase, and we were smart enough to go to Mark Bellamy's lake cabin to do it and spend the night. And these are things that you shouldn't and can't tell. But at any rate, all of this stuff was going on, and I still didn't know it would be a business. So fast forward to our senior year of high school, and again, I'm telling you things that the people in the picture know and have never been told in Kingsport. And I anticipate when I get out of here tonight an arrest warrant being issued, and I'm going to go to jail. I've told this story all over the world, but I'm happiest to tell it here. So we get to the end of high school, and where did we get our equipment? Well, we got it from Ross and Robinson, John Sevier, the State Theater, and the Strand Theater, because 68 to 72, nobody locked anything. And you that live here remember that. I mean, we literally go in the back door or the front door, and we just go get what we wanted and roll it out, and if somebody saw us, we go, hey, how you doing? And they thought you knew what you were doing. Whichever theater was on the other side of the street, and I forget the name, Strand, senior year of high school, we were returning the spotlight, and there was a little wooden ramp up onto the stage, and the spotlight hit, and I've never told this, and it fell over and burst and just shattered the lens. I don't know what they did. we just put it back behind the movie screen and left, and we never went there again. But for those of you that wonder, that's where our gear came from, was your tax dollars hard at work. And we would go to the AV department. Jim and I were always in AV, starting in 7th grade. So we would get the Robinson AV stuff. My mother taught at Sevier, so I had access to the Sevier AV stuff. And then at Dobbins-Bennett, I was in the AV department there, so we had access to the overhead projectors. Remember the psychedelic look back in the 60s where behind the band all the stuff was moving and looked like amoebas? That was the old overhead projector that your teacher used, and you just put a glass dish on it, and then you had several different liquids of different viscosity: water, gasoline, oil, alcohol, and then you put food coloring in the different viscosity liquids and poured them together, stirred it with a pencil. And your hand and the pencil were out of the focal length, and what you got was that theme. Well, we did that at every rock show that was here back then with Dobbins-Bennett overhead projectors. So, point of all my rambling is, why Bandit lights? I think you get it. Because everything we had was stolen. And there's one other piece. I'm coming clean on this trip. There's one other piece. I lived in what was called Beech Nut Hills. Those of you that are not old enough to remember, it's now called Preston Forest. Beech Nut Hills was just one loop when I lived there. Well, they cut roads for what is now Preston Forest, building a lot of houses. So we went over and got the scrap wood and the scrap 2x4s and the scrap nails and built cases and whatnot. The thing is, my definition of scrap and the builder's definition of scrap were a lot different. Scrap to me meant anything I could have access to. It didn't matter that it was in the house under a tarpaulin with shingles on it. So we commandeered a lot of wood and nails and paint and stuff, but again, I can tell that now because I think the statute of limitations has probably run. But the biggest challenge came when we got out of school, out of junior high school. And let me reach back. Does anybody here remember Wally Owens, the science teacher? A few people probably do. Wally didn't have a lot of time for hippies. And I had hair down to about here. And I was a hippie to Wally. Wally called me in my senior year, God bless him, and said, Mike, come here. I said, yeah. He says, you're not going to college, are you? And I went, well, yes, sir, I am. I'm going to the University of Tennessee. Oh, don't waste your parents' money. And he really didn't like me. So when I graduated from UT, as God is my witness, with degree in hand, I drove back to Kingsport, walked into the school, didn't ask any permission, walked straight to his room. It was still the same room, walked in, reintroduced myself, and handed him my diploma. And that was one of the proudest moments of my life, was to show Mr. Owens that indeed I had gone to college and had graduated. But the biggest challenge came when I left here. I had to discover where I was going to get my equipment in Knoxville. And I discovered the Clarence Brown Theater was never locked. So Clarence Brown became our central warehouse, as well as some other schools and high schools around town. And, but we then began buying some equipment and doing some things. Now, it just continued. Now let's back up. When I was a kid, remember I said we met the band. That's what made it ever so easy, because you were dealing directly with Power Vienna Raiders, you were talking to Mark Lindsay. Dennis Yost in the Classics 4, you were dealing with Dennis Yost. Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons, I was dealing with Joe Long, the bass player. So I developed these phenomenal relationships directly with these musicians while I was a kid. Fast forward to college and beyond, I had relationships with musicians, Conway Twitty, Loretta Lynn, Merle Haggard, Black Oak, Arkansas, Jim Dandy from Black Oak, Arkansas, the James Gang, Timothy Schmidt from the James Gang, who's now, from Timothy Schmidt, who's in the Eagles, I met through the James Gang, on and on and on. You can't do that today. Today there's managers and co-managers and sub-managers and security and everything in the world. But back then you could meet the artist. So it made it very easy to build this company. And indeed we did build this company. Something. Is that what it is? I've got another one.
That one doesn't work.
Hello. Yeah. But I don't need a microphone. At any rate, I got to know a great deal of people, and that really made it kind of easy. I ran the company out of a dorm room. Steve Barber was there at the time, and he probably knew more about it than any of the other people, because I would see Steve from time to time. Steve's written my insurance from that day to this, and still writes my insurance. In fact, the only reason Steve's here is I threatened to cancel if he didn't come. So he agreed to come. Bill Dudley, on the other hand, I had to offer money to. and Roy Harmon's the same. I had to pay Roy more than Bill. But at any rate, we persevered and we kept on, and I was working out of a dorm room, and I was continuing to do what I learned to do early, which was lie. Tell people how big you are. If I'd done one show with an artist, I'd done a tour with an artist. And we did what we called growing into our shoes. We told people how big we were, and then we became that big. Then we made it twice that size and continued to lie, and then we became twice that size. Then we made it twice that size and continued to lie, and we just kept growing into our shoes. People say, what was the hardest thing? And this is what you can relate to. And this is what I hope to inspire you with today. When I began here, when we began here, I didn't know what I'm about to tell you. But after I got out of UT and began competing in the big world, does anyone know, other than you because I told you, Andrea, what our biggest challenge was? The single biggest thing that worked against Bandit Lights. Can anybody guess? Police. Pretty good guess. Can anybody guess? The fact that we were from East Tennessee. I was a hillbilly. I was a redneck. We were called redneck lighting, lumberyard lighting, hillbilly lighting. All my competitors were in New York, Los Angeles, and London. And they would say with regularity when we would bid on a job, they would say to the acts that we were trying to work with, well, you can't work with Bandit Lights, it's a bunch of hillbillies. Why would you work with a bunch of hillbillies? They've got no clue. Well, that tended to win the war a lot of the time. But through time and through perseverance, and we kept doing what we were doing, and we focused on one thing, and one thing only, and that was quality. We never wanted to be the biggest. We wanted to be the best. And we never knew that being from East Tennessee was a handicap. We never knew that. And by the time we knew it, it was too late to do anything about it, because we were already branded Bandit Lights, Knoxville, Tennessee. So we went, oh, geez, what are we going to do? So we buckled down and we thought, just pitch quality in people. And very early on, I saw that most companies are run by the owner, for the owner, due to the owner, in case of the owner, because of the owner. And the owners don't care about people. So we started paying people good. We gave them 401k, we gave them health insurance, we paid for education, we do catered lunches. We do that to this day. We treat our employees like employees. And you're all sitting here going, well, that's what's unusual about that? In rock and roll, that's real unusual. Nobody else to this day does it. Everybody in rock and roll is paid $10.99. Everybody. They get a check and it's $10.99. They have no job security, they have no health insurance, they have no retirement. So we created a model much like the model that you all know, and we focused on people. Jimmy Buffett's been a client for 25 years. Eric Schaeferman from Kingsport, Tennessee has been his crew chief for 25 years. So when Jimmy Buffett goes out, it's Bandit Lights and it's Eric Schaeferman running the show. Jimmy knows that. And we've got a lot of those situations. So we focused on quality, and we got bigger and bigger and bigger. We went from being a Southeastern company to an East Coast company to a U.S. company. In 1980, I got a phone call from a client saying, can you work and do our European tour? And I said, absolutely not. Nobody in America can do your European tour. And the guy said, Bob C. can. And I said, no, he can't. Bob C's in New York. And he said, Bob C's just opened in London. So I immediately went, oh, crap. So then I opened in London. And so then we got London going, and it took a lot of money and a lot of time, but all of a sudden there was 2 companies that could do both sides of the pond, and then there was 3 companies that could do both sides of the pond. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to get one up on my competitors. I'm going to open in Asia. So we went over and opened up in 1993 in Hong Kong and Taiwan, and to this day we're the only people over there. Our competitors never followed suit. All of that takes a lot of money. All of that takes a lot of dedication. All of that takes a lot of time. But again, we did it, and suddenly we were the only global solution. Well, about 5 years ago, like everything else, consolidations began to happen and roll-ups began to happen, and a lot of interesting things began to happen. Fast forward to today, there's 2 global players, Bandit Lights and a company called PRG. Bandit Lights has collective debt of probably $3 million. PRG owes $500 million. They're considerably larger than us. They also haven't shown a profit in 10 years. They have double-digit losses in the millions. We turn a profit every year. They're the first biggest. We're the second biggest, but the first best. We are known within the industry as the Rolls-Royce of the lighting industry. When you go within the entertainment industry and say Bandit Lights, people go, those are the good guys. And they also know that we're from East Tennessee. Well, the fact that we were from East Tennessee, which was a negative for so many years, the screw turned in 1992. In 1992, all my competitors figured out, why do I have a giant warehouse in Los Angeles or New York, which are the 2 most expensive places in America to have a warehouse? Today, most of my competitors have put the bulk of their assets in Nashville or Phoenix. They've still got tiny little offices, but suddenly these stupid redneck hillbillies look pretty smart. Right now, 70% of the people in the entertainment industry live between Asheville, North Carolina, and Nashville, Tennessee, in a beltway. They left Los Angeles and New York in droves. Why? They sold their $1.2 million home in California that was 800 square feet, and the yard was 6 inches bigger than the house. They brought their $1.2 million to somewhere in Tennessee. They bought a 10,000 square foot house on 30 acres for $400,000 and put $800,000 in the bank and went, holy cow, why didn't I move here a long time ago? So suddenly, the redneck from Tennessee looked pretty smart to everybody else because we never sold out, we never gave up our values, we never gave in, we always stayed the course. What would I advise you to do? It's not important how big you are, it's important how good you are. It was never my mission or our mission to be the biggest and the best, we just happened to end up there. If I was living in Kingsport, Tennessee, and I had a plumbing company, I would want to be the best plumbing company in Kingsport, Tennessee. And that's my advice to you. How do you get there? 3 things. O-L-D, the word old. Opportunity, luck, and dedication. I had more dedication than probably anybody in this room, and for those people that knew me, they can attest to that, because I was doing this thing forever and ever. When we got to our senior year in high school, the group of people in that picture, we had a meeting and we had about $10,000 cash in the bank, and we voted what to do. And I looked at all the guys and said, well, of course we're going to continue. Well, everybody else said, no, we're going to go to Myrtle Beach and drink ourselves to death. And that's what we did. We took our $10,000 and we went to Myrtle Beach and rented a house for 2 weeks and bought more beer than is humanly possible. And I have photographs to prove it. And then we went our separate ways, but I kept the dream alive. I kept the vision, I kept what little equipment we had, and got some new folks with me as I moved down to Knoxville. And for those of you that are in business here, my advice to you, my encouragement to you, because you're all here tonight, this is about you tonight, this is about your businesses, and I apologize for being so long-winded, but I wanted you to hear how I was fortunate enough to achieve the pinnacle of my industry. Just stick with it. Just believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. I don't care if you're selling hot dogs on a hot dog cart. If somebody comes up to you and you really believe in your mission, and you can instill that belief in the client, you're going to sell more hot dogs. Doesn't matter how big or small you are, you got to be happy. One of the things that Bill gave away a minute ago, actually it came from Jim Haslam, Big Jim Haslam at Pilot Oil, the 3 phases to your life. You earn, you learn, you earn, and you return. You learn in school, you earn when you have your job, and you return by giving back. Something that I learned in Dobbins-Bennett, Henry Ford, if you think you can, or if you think you can't, you're right. That has always stuck with me. You've got to believe in who you are and what you're doing. Does anybody here ever see The Secret, the DVD, The Secret, and the book and all that? That's really, it's great. I believe in it. I give it to my people. But that's nothing more than Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking, rehashed. And I believe in that. And then the final thing that I learned was Ross Perot in Texas said a long time ago, surround yourself with great people and let them do what it is that they do. And I live by those 3 things. And those have always guided me and steered me. And for those of you in this community that have been nominated tonight, I commend you. There are no losers. I have sat in these same competitions. We call this award in Knoxville the Pinnacle Award. We always have 3 in every category, and we have 6 awards. To just be sitting here is a great honor. For those of you that have a dream of doing something different, or going to the next level, or achieving more, believe in yourself. Don't ever let the fact that you're from East Tennessee get in the way. Just because somebody says something to you doesn't make it so. If they call you a regnet, if they call you ignorant, if they call you stupid, whatever they call you, that's their point of view. You can feel very sorry for them that they have that point of view. But that's what we did as we went forward. We just paid no attention. We didn't believe in them. We believed in ourselves. I believe that all of you believe in yourselves, and that's why you're sitting here tonight. I wish all the nominees tonight the best of luck. I've no idea who wins. But again, as you leave here tonight and talk amongst yourselves and talk to other people, if we can form the world's 2nd largest, but certainly most respected entertainment lighting company from Kingsport, Tennessee, then anything is possible, because this is not an entertainment mecca. I mean, there's no reason that this company should have come from here. I can't tell you how proud I am to be from here. When I reach the end of whatever I reach, it's not out of the realm of possibility that I move here. Because I really do love the area. And as I said earlier, I'm jealous of all of you that you get to live here. I hope to return here one day. The business will probably never return here, but when I step down, certainly I could. But stick with your dreams. Believe in yourself. If you think you can, or if you think you can't, you're right. Again, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here. I wish all the nominees the best of luck, and it's been great to tell the truth, and I hope I don't get arrested.
So the next part of the program is to recognize some of our additional sponsors this evening. First, I want to thank more of these sponsors, because again, as I said, we wouldn't be doing this tonight if it weren't for these businesses who stepped up and contributed time and money. The Kingsport Times-News, they have been a driving force in this contest since its inception. The Times has not only helped us promote the event, they are also going to provide some additional public relations to our winners tonight. The U.S. Small Business Administration, who's here with us this evening, they provided us with not only a judge this year, but also some monetary support. I'll mention again, GTS Refreshments in Pristine Springs. They provided some of our food this evening, which was complemented with catering from Divine Cafe downstairs. If you haven't been there, you should go. Karen Allen does a great job, and we appreciate her tonight. Also, Urban Synergy for use of their facility. It's gorgeous, and again, thank you to Charles for making it look so nice, but we definitely appreciate Urban for letting us have the event here this evening. And finally, PAL's Business Excellence Institute. They'll be providing this year's winners with one free enrollment in a 2-day class entitled Achieving World-Class Results, which is obviously something Michael Strickland knows about. Okay, nobody's moving to get anything, so I'm going to keep going. I'm going to go into our finalists and winners, because this is the reason we're all here this evening. What I'm going to do is go through all of our finalists, and you'll have an opportunity, hopefully, keep my fingers crossed, to see them up on the screen. But as Ronald Wade said earlier, everyone here tonight truly is a winner. I know that sounds trite, but again, I wish everyone here could have the opportunity to hear these stories like the judges got to hear them, because you would have such an appreciation for what these businesses are doing in Kingsport. They're giving back, and they're surviving and thriving in an economy that has been less than pretty this past year. Okay, our finalists are a Super Party, owners Ashley and Michael Cooper. They were in the New Business and Business Excellence categories. A Super Party is located in the Food City Shopping Plaza. Super Party offers just about anything you might need for a celebration, including balloons, wedding invitations, and baking goods. A-Team Real Estate Professionals, owners Pam and Gary Addington. They are in the New Business and Business Excellence categories. A-Team Real Estate opened for business in April 2008 in the midst of a downturn economy, and in just 19 months has become one of the top 5 agencies in Kingsport and 10th in the entire Northeast Tennessee market. Clean and Safe Janitorial Services, owner and CEO John Humphreys, in the Business Excellence category. I love their story. A man loses his job only to discover a passion for cleaning, and this is the story behind Clean and Safe Janitorial Services. In 5 years, Clean and Safe has grown from 2 happy janitors to more than 50 employees and $1 million in sales. Cruise Planners, owner Kathy Kennedy, in the New Business category. Due to high sales volume, Cruise Planners' buying power enables them to offer you the opportunity to cruise in style at the lowest prices available while still receiving the best service in the cruise business. Ito's Sushi Bar and Grill, owners Mei-Ling Lai and Benson Lai, young entrepreneur and business excellence categories. Soon after opening their first restaurant in Colonial Heights, Ito's needed more space to accommodate its growing legion of sushi lovers. They bought their current building off of Interstate 26 in West Kingsport 2.5 years ago, and they recently opened their second location in Johnson City. Good sushi. Energy Savers LLC, owner Jeremiah Hine, in the Young Entrepreneur and Business Excellence categories. What started as a side job has turned into a thriving, rapidly growing business, spray foam insulation for residences. This business has enjoyed immediate success, hitting its 3-year goals in less than 1 year. Maxwell Coach Company, owner Charles Maxwell, in the Business Excellence category. A professional motor coach and shuttle service, Maxwell Coach was a finalist in last year's awards and is back again this year with more success to share and how they have grown and continue to make traveling with them an exceptional experience. The Nutty Java, owner Mark McRae, in the Young Entrepreneur and New Business categories. The Nutty Java recently expanded from a kiosk to an in-store coffee experience in the Kingsport Town Center. It offers an assortment of coffees, nuts, and drinks. Nutty Java also offers television viewing and free wireless internet access to customers. Phil's Dream Pit Barbecue Restaurant and Catering, owners Phil and Diana Pipkin, in the New Business and Business Excellence categories. Started out as cooking for friends, and then the number of friends just kept growing. So they've got barbecue awards, top-notch food reviews, and their very own bottled sauce, and that's kept Phil's Dream Pit very busy serving its growing customer base. Pinnacle Ranch LLC, owners Holly Hobson and Ellen Stroud, in the Young Entrepreneur and New Business categories. 2 women are using their love of horses and compassion to help individuals recapture their spirit. Using equine therapy, Pinnacle works with adults and children with behavioral, psychological, and emotional issues, and this same therapy can also be used by businesses for team building efforts. River Mountain Antiques and Primitives, owner Debbie Dykes, in the New Business category. A retired school teacher has turned her love of antiques, art, and unique home decor, jewelry, and clothing into a new downtown business located on Broad Street. Thanks to Primitive, downtown now has a new advocate for spurring retail activity. Sonali Med Spa and Salon, owner Dr. Shari Raju, New Business and Business Excellence categories. After surviving a difficult transition to the United States from South Africa to pursue her dreams of becoming a physician, Sonali's owner decided to combine her medical expertise with the importance of overall physical well-being. Sonali offers a day spa, med spa, and salon services all under one roof and is located next to Panera Bread on Eastman Road. Studio Tan, owners Reed and Kristen Burton, young entrepreneur and new business categories. Studio Tan is striving to be the best by offering an exceptional tanning experience in an exceptional atmosphere and staying on top of the latest information and technology in the tanning industry. Studio Tan is located in the Food City Shopping Plaza. And finally, Talkback Incorporated, owners Ashley and John Morris in the young entrepreneur and new business categories. Talkback is a rapidly growing speech and language therapy practice specializing in children from birth to age 3. They provide their services in the most convenient and comfortable setting for a child, and a child's progression and parent satisfaction are their top priorities. So, that's one little snippet on all of those finalists. As I said earlier, each one of these businesses truly had an inspiring story to tell, whether it was overcoming adversity, whether it was living a lifelong dream, or whether it was simply finding something that has given them some immediate success. They've all got great stories, and we keep saying it, but they are all winners. So selecting these winners and finalists was far from easy. But I want to give all of them a big round of applause before we announce the winners, because again, they've all done such a great job and we're very proud of all of them. We're going to announce a runner-up in most categories. I think we have one or two that does not have a runner-up. So if you are a runner-up, please come up. We do have an award for you as well. And we're going to be taking some photos. Ray Austin, I think, is going to take those for us. So if you'll pause to have your photo taken. And winners, if you would like to say a few words, we're going to give you an opportunity to do that. Just be a loudspeaker. And if you don't want to say anything, that's fine too. But this is kind of your moment, and we wanted to give you a chance to do that. So we're going to start out with the Young Entrepreneur Award, which was sponsored by Clark & Company. Dave Clark could not be with us this evening. So Vanessa is kind enough to present this award on their behalf. I'm prettier than Dave. You are prettier than Dave, yes. So the runner-up in the Young Entrepreneur Award category is Reed and Kristen Burton, owners of Studio Tan. Sushi Bar and Grill. Our new business award category was sponsored by Wilson Worley Moore Gamble Stout, and to help me present that award is Russ Adkins, our Kosbe Vice Chair. Our runner-up in the new business category is Holly Hobson and Ellen Stroud, owners of Pinnacle Ranch. Is Phil and Diana Pipkin, owners of Phil's Green.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Which one of you wants this?
I do want to say something. It's not often in your life that you get to quit a corporate job, walk away from a good salary, massive benefits, and do something you truly love. I see a lot of faces in here that have been customers of mine over the last 2 years. I thank you tremendously for supporting my business. Andrea, the support that you've given me and the chamber. I can remember the first day of the ribbon cutting. And it's just went great ever since that point. Ronald Wade, all the support that he gives me. This is a tremendous organization, and I could never say enough to thank everybody for the help and support we get. I went to my wife and said, I'm quitting my job. I found a little building that I'm going to lease and open a barbecue business. No doubt, never questioned me, supported me 100%, and I truly love you for that. And just my father, at the time I was opening this restaurant, was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. So he never got to see me fulfill my dream. Excuse me. My mother's here tonight. She just beat breast cancer. So I am so thankful to the good Lord above and the people of Kingsport. I couldn't open this in Johnson City. I couldn't open it in Jonesboro. Thank y'all very much.
Wow, that makes it worth the whole night, right there. Great stories. Business Excellence category, under 10 employees. This is sponsored by Plastic Surgery Center of East Tennessee. And Christine Pastrick is going to come up and help me present that award. Actually, Christine is not. Oh, you both are. I'm sorry, Christine and her husband, Dr. Pastrick, together. I saw her point, like, I'm not doing this, he's doing this. Okay, our runner-up in this category, again, I have to keep saying this. I think it's just to absolve myself, but you just have no idea how difficult this was to make these decisions. So I just hope you know that these runner-ups that come up too, again, it was so close. But our runner-up in this category, A-Team Real Estate Professionals, Pam Addington. Business Excellence under 10 employees category is Maxwell coach Charles Maxwell.
Mommy, don't leave here yet. Come here. First of all, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you to God above. He blessed me. I started with nothing, and look where I'm at now. My big help comes right here from my mom. Her name's Linda. She's right by my side all the time. She just moved back up here from Alabama. You know, when somebody gives you a choice between your children and them, they choose your children. You know, she traveled up and down the road from Enterprise, Alabama. Every time I called her, she came. And that's 8 hours away. So she's right here with me, and we're gonna keep this company going. My next thank you and appreciation comes to Andrea, right here. Without Andrea, I don't know sometimes where I would be. She's been in my corner the whole time. When I'm out on the road and I need something done, I just call Andrea. She's right here. She has everything. She makes it happen. Keith Joy, he came up a couple years ago and he talked to me. You know, he showed some enlightenment to, you know, gave me the encouragement to keep going. Ronald Wade, he's gone. He's been there for me continuously. My new web company. There's Dante in the back and Wes, Elixir Media Group. I need you to go to our website. I had an old one. They set me up with a new one, so make sure you visit it. You'll see the work that they do. Make sure you go see it. Sign up for our new mailing list, okay? Facebook, check it out. And then, my one and only stand-up pastor. He's my impact person. I tell you, sometimes when times get hard, and I don't know where, and I don't know if my prayers have been answered, but I go to him and things turn around. I said, Pastor, I just don't know. God ain't answering mine, but I tell you what, he's answering yours. Because the word says when 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, I'm in the mix. And he's been there. So once again, thank you. Thank you to all the judges. I definitely appreciate you for, you know, just allowing me to accept this award this year.
Okay, now I'll have to talk quieter. Our next business excellence category is Overton employees. This is sponsored by Linebach Services, and to help me present this award is Jim Linebach. And we're announcing just a winner in this category this evening, and that is the happy janitor himself, clean and safe, John Humphreys.
These other folks, and they're doing their deal, and it's all emotional. And we're back. I mean, we were a Small Business Award winner in '05, and since then 4 years, and boy, a lot of lonely nights. A lot of times that I think to myself, I'm looking for some school opening I can steal a mop bucket from. But they lock them all in Kingsport anymore. But, you know, and I look around and I see a lot of folks. I see Greg, and we have kind of he and I have understanding that I'm the mouth and he's the ass. And not to take that out of context, I mean,
thank you.
Honest to goodness, when you get to where we are, you know, you sit around a lot of times, and my wife says, where are you going? What are you doing? I said, I really don't know. But it's a constant challenge for me to say, hey, how do we get to the next level? How do we go to where we're going? And fortunately, for me, I've got my backbone, which is Greg Tomlin, and it's just been a constant. You know, nobody wrote the script for me. Nobody wrote the script for the Happy Janitors, and a lot of my buddies that, you know, we'll be out doing something and say, Happy Janitors, how did you come up with that? And I said, well, I know it's kind of an oxymoron, but whenever we started this company, I didn't have a job. And Greg and I were actually cleaning a closet, and dirt and stuff was falling out of the top of this closet. I looked over at him and I winked and I said, we're the Happy Janitors. He says, every day. And And so whenever I hear all these stories and I think to myself, how did we get here? Where do we go from here? And I hear Dee's story and I hear Phil's story, and I'm sitting back there and my wife says, well, you're never emotional. I'm sitting back there crying when they're telling the story.
Yes,
And if you've never been here, I don't know how to tell you to get here, but it's a crazy place to be. Because it's what my wife wakes up in the morning, she's like, what are you doing? It's 4 o'clock in the morning, you can't go to bed. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm going to just go ahead and get up. And it's the passion. Somebody asked me one day, what's the 3 words? And I said, passion, addiction, and sacrifice. And I'm sure that everybody else could add some words to it, and surely Mike could add some words to it. But it is. I mean, that's what it's about. I mean, and just today I told Greg, I said, you know what? Oh, Sean came in and he looked kind of rough today. So what's the chances we get him a new shirt and maybe a pair of jeans and maybe get him cleaned up? Greg's like, hey, Hump, I got it covered. But I think it's that desire and that commitment that, hey, you're never good enough. You're never good enough. You always have to challenge yourself. That door's always revolving. And so I want to, number one, I want to thank God, just as Dee did, because you know what he does? He does to me that every single day, it's not a question. We do the right thing. And we're janitors, okay? We're in your buildings after you go home, okay? We're in there. You know what? You're validated as soon as we come into your building. And I mean, hey, and you can ask some of my folks that are here with me tonight, like Todd Miller. Hey, we're validating every person in your building because we're there. We're in your office. We're pulling your trash bag out. Okay? So doing the right thing is what we try to instill in our people every single day. And God does that for not just me, but I'm trying to throw it out to at least 50 people. Pastor Humphreys tries to put that on them every day. And the other folks that, certainly Greg, certainly my wife, who night in and night out is giving my 3-year-old, my 8-year-old a bath. And I'm not there a lot of times. And same thing with Greg's family and our employees. So, I don't know, I had something scripted to say here. I don't know if I said it or not.
Sounds good.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I've got one piece. Yeah. I would not go into business with anybody else, and it's been a great ride. And we love you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, we have one more to go this evening. And this is our Impact Award, and it is sponsored by Triton Insurance and Financial Services. And helping me present the award this evening is Phil Ketron. And I want to tell you a little bit about the Impact Award, and I'm going to turn the mic over first to Vanessa and then back to Phil. Vanessa is going to read all of our nominees tonight. But the Impact Award was presented for the first time last year. And it does go to an individual in the business community who has significantly impacted someone starting a business, someone who already has a business. These individuals were nominated by our applicants this year. So they have been directly impacted by these people. And we have 9 of those individuals who've been singled out. And I will turn it over to Vanessa to read those names to us this evening.
Thank you, Angie. Our nominees are Kasi Lay with Ito Sushi Bar and Grill, nominated by Maylene Hulay and Benson Lay. Pam Addington with A-Team Real Estate Professionals, who were nominated by her peers at A-Team. Andy Bonner with Dent K. Burke, nominated by Michael and Ashley Cooper with A Super Party. Susie Gibson, Bristol Kingsport KOA, nominated by Kathy Kennedy with Cruise Planners. Keith Timms with IFH, nominated by Phil and Diana Pipkin, Phil's Dream Pit. Todd Miller, Host and Medical Group, nominated by John Humphreys, Clean and Safe. Kevin Harmon, Kingsport Town Center, nominated by Mark McCrary with the Nutty Java. Joyce Grills with the Haggle Shop, nominated by Debbie Dykes from River Mountain Antiques and Primitives. And Anthony Daniels, the former pastor of Central Baptist Church, nominated by Charles Maxwell with Maxwell Coach Company. I'd like to turn it over to Phil, who served on our Kosbe Council and is also our last year's Kosbe Awards chair, so he knows what it takes to put these together.
Just real briefly, when I started my business, the first advice I got was to have a good accountant, a good attorney, a good banker, a good insurance agent. But I think beyond that, I think we all need a good encourager. Somebody that's going to lift us up. Somebody that's going to tell us you can. Because so many times we go to the bank and they say no. Sometimes we go to the attorney and they say, well, did you think about this? But we need a good encourager. And this person that nominated this, I'm going to read this as this person speaking or doing the nomination. This individual has survived 45 years of change in downtown Kingsport. Because of her business experience and kindness, I chose her as my mentor. She's always willing to help with anything that will bring people to Kingsport. She thinks of all the shops, not just her own, when she does something. She takes the time to talk to people and get to know them. She sees downtown Kingsport as a vibrant business community with a diversity of service and retail merchants. That was written and submitted by Debbie Dykes, owner of River Mountain Antiques and Primitives, and the winner of this year's Impact Award is Joyce Grills with the Haggle Shop. Debbie would like for you to come forward as well.
Come over so you can get a picture.
I just want to thank everybody here tonight. And I didn't expect this. But I do want to say that if I've impacted anyone downtown or in Kingsport in our 45 years of business, it's been because we were downtown when everyone was moving away. Everything was going to the mall, and it just seemed like our downtown was buildings were empty. But the few people left downtown, there was 3 or 4, and most of them have passed now, was Joe Heller at Joseph's Music Center, Joe Young at Joe Young's Jeweler, and Joe Wimberly at Price and Ramey Insurance. They would come to our shop. At that time, antique shops were moving into the downtown areas everywhere. And we were one of the first malls in Kingsport, really. But they would come in our shop at least once a week, and if Joe wasn't there every day, I'd miss him. And he'd say, don't give up now, we don't want you moving away. And you're just getting started. We did an open house for the first time, and honestly, the Strand Theater was still going at that time. They were lined up the street to come, and our building would only hold about 20 people. And it really made me realize that people love downtown. But it was because people cared for me and helped me that I like to think when someone comes downtown, we're a community, or comes, any new business opens anywhere in Kingsport, that we're a community, you'll be a neighbor to them, and just make them welcome, whether it be downtown or outside the town or whatever. But downtown Kingsport is my love. We've got wonderful people downtown, and I can't tell you how thrilled I am with all the young people now opening businesses and staying downtown. Just thank everybody. And remember, shop downtown Kingsport.